Good morning. Starting our day off with a seed delivery here. We've got 7 boxes on a truck. So we're getting those unloaded, and then we start stuffing empties in. More beans. We got 7 more boxes in. They're actually for the customer that had those 7 boxes, but he doesn't want those 7 boxes anymore. He wants these 7 boxes. So whatever, that's fine. They got to go up there on Thursday. We loaded that truck up with 42 empty boxes, and we still got a pile here. But we got a whole bunch more to get, so we'll deal with those later. I got to go in the house and get the boys. It's Tuesday in the summer, so they're with me today, or hanging out at the farm anyway. And then here in a little bit, I've got a customer that wanted to go walk some beans together, so we're gonna go take a look at some of his beans for him. If we're gonna do some spraying today, we are gonna need some water. I'm pretty sure that tank is empty, so we're gonna get the hose turned on and let it start running while we work on a few other things here this morning. I don't know if we'll be able to do any anhydrous today or not. It is possible. But I do have that one row that's been giving me some trouble, or just bleeding off a little more than I like. So I said the other day when we were finishing up that when I got a chance, I'd like to take it apart and look at it and just make sure that everything is like it's supposed to be. And well, now's my chance. So we're gonna pull it over in front of the shop, might wash it down a little bit and then let it dry while I go scout this field that I've got to do. And then when I get back from that, we'll try and tear into it and see if there's a hose rubbed through, if the tube's got a hole in it, or what. Yep, you can tell it was starting to rain when we were finishing up there. It's this row here, number 4, so you can see we got all the dirt and stuff caked on it. We're just going to go ahead and wash that off, make it a little easier to work on. I mean, it looks fine. Other than that, hose is a little frayed. I don't know, you can't see it very good, but we'll pull the blade and the gauge wheel off and see what it looks like. Maybe we just need to trim our hose and push it on there a little farther. I don't know. Well, I let that anhydrous bar dry off there. Brock's coming today, and I would like him to finish power washing on the planter, or the heavy stuff off the planter, so we need to be able to get it unfolded. The other thing we need to do is winterize our fertilizer tanks and systems, and so we've got to get them flushed out, run some water through them, be able to get the planter unfolded, which means we need the hydraulic hoses and the electrical connectors hooked up. So I'm working on that. Okay, I think this will work, but I guess I'm not 100% sure. I do not have a load sense line for the Power Beyond. I don't have anywhere to plug that in on the tractor, and I don't have the right connector to plug this in. That's for the master foot switch for the 2x2 fertilizer system. I might have one of those up in the barn or up in the old office somewhere. That one might be necessary, so we'll see. Just got back from walking a customer's field there. He's going to use a box for beans for some replant, just some thin spots. In some areas there was hardly any, in some areas they were thin but okay, and I'm going to give him a box of beans. He's going to replant. Anyway, Brock got our row unit here put back together, trimmed some hoses up, tightened up a few bolts, and hopefully it works a little bit better. This is what our hose looked like, and I don't know if that's, yeah, I think that is cut through there. So maybe that's what was causing it to bleed off a little bit more. This one had a little fraying on it too. We'll see what happens when we go back together. So Brock is working on our corn planter a little bit, taking off some top secret parts that John Deere gave me that I don't think I'm ever going to show you guys, but that's okay. So we're going to fold that up, move it out of the way. When he is done, we'll pull the planter out and get some water put in it, and we'll get our fertilizer stuff flushed out. I don't want to be a constant sales pitch, but have you guys seen my shirt today? Check this one out. Best RX doesn't come from a doctor, with a pretty sweet picture of a tractor on there. I'm pretty proud of this design. If you think it is cool or know someone who think it is cool, please head over to farmfocus.com, go to the Border View Farms page, and get yourself one.
I would appreciate it very much. The people over at Farm Focus would appreciate it. They're good people. I'm a good people. Thank you. Appreciate your support. All right, Brock is done. Let's see if our G5 display will run our planter here so that we can get it unfolded, and we'll go put some water in. We got Brayson with us today. Say hi, Brayson. You bored? No. No? First day hanging out with Dad this summer. We'll just be mean to him. That's what we'll do, won't we? How was T-ball last night?
Good.
You gonna go in again tonight?
Yes.
I told him he can't get any more ice cream all summer if he doesn't hit the ball to the outfield, so you didn't do it. Better tonight. Better tonight. Loading some water up here. We're going to go back down the lane, find a spot in the bean field to unfold it and flush everything, because we do have fertilizer in the lines, so I don't want to just do it in the driveway. We'll actually get some use out of it. It isn't much, but we need to flush it. Good. I don't know, 100 gallons, 150 gallons in that front tank there. And we should be good to go. All right, after a little bit of a struggle with getting things running here, I have figured out how to make my exact rate, my in-furrow work here. So we are flushing those lines, basically just running the pump, and we've got this is our in-furrow fertilizer that's coming out of all those lines right now. All of them. Oh yeah, that one's coming too. We're just gonna let that run for a while until we flush all the fertilizer through, and it's quite obvious that we have water coming through. They all working? They are. They are. These ones are a little slower down here. Yeah, they're all right. Yeah, so we'll just kind of let that run for a minute. On my 2x2, I don't have a foot switch in there for the master on-off. I only have 1 foot switch, and it's in the 8RX for the anhydrous applicator right now. So Brock's going to fetch me a wire. We're going to try and use as a jumper wire, see if that works. I'm not real sure what exactly that load sense line does, but it must be real important, because I'm trying to get number 2 outlet to work for my fertilizer pump. It was idling the EPG up, the power generator, and we had all kinds of problems. All kinds of them. We got all kinds of problems now too, but we got it. We're pumping water through, so that's good. We've got a conceal plugged. We got another one plugged on this side. We got one plugged there. Those 2 are both working, but they're shooting out the sides. Looks like we need new knives. Those 2 are both working. Those 2 are both working. Those 2 are good. Got one plugged there. Good. Good. Got one plugged there. Got one plugged there. Got one plugged there. Good. One plugged there. One plugged there. 2 plugged there. That's not good. Good, good. 1 plugged there. Good. 1 plugged there. And that one's good. Oh man, this is not good. Not good at all. Oh well. We're getting it flushed. All right, we went through and made sure that all the nozzles are open. Everything's flowing. Some of them are wore out. We'll replace some, but at least all the fertilizer's out of the system, we know, and it's flowing like it's supposed to be. So that is good. I'm gonna switch back over to the in-furrow system. We're gonna flush that one more time. I know all those nozzles were working, but I don't know if I ran it long enough to get all the fertilizer out. So we're about out of water. We got our tanks drained of all the water. So I was kind of watching it. As soon as it started sucking the last of it in, I started dumping in some of our RV antifreeze here. And we just let the in-furrow pump keep running. And so now Brock's kind of watching for when we start getting pink out the rows. That's when we know we've got RV antifreeze in all the lines. They're all flushed out, and it should be winterized, which is good. There was a little bit of some thick sludgy-like stuff in the bottom of this tank. I'm wondering if it's from our chicken litter water we put in there. We got it all pretty well sucked out, so the tank was clean, but I'm wondering if my filter is rather clogged now. See that drone flying over there? We've got a company that's doing some drone flights for crop health and stand counts and different things, and they're here flying this field right now. Guy over there. I will show you some of the reports from the first couple of flights that I've already gotten here. We'll try and do that this afternoon if I've got time, but kind of a trial thing that we're doing with one of our retailers this year. They wanted us to try it, so we're trying it. All right, we've got the in-furrow stuff winterized and done, and now we're working on the 2x2s. You can see it starting to turn pink through my flow gauges there, and we'll kind of watch as it comes out, and I can shut each section off kind of independently. Hopefully we don't run out. Got back from taking Brock to lunch. Now he's gonna power wash on a planter for a while. I told him to do it for as long as he can until he thinks that he's done, and then do it again. So he already did some on the back, or with it folded up. So getting the stuff around the front side here and into things a little bit better. Should get most of it. We'll let him work on it for a while. I'll probably go do some. Maybe probably not today, but at some point before we unhook it, and we'll get this thing put away. So I'm going to take the gator and go check some fields. We're going to see if it's dry enough to put anhydrous on. We might load up a load with the sprayer and go spray, and we might just go put anhydrous on. We'll see how things look out in the fields. I wonder where the gator's at. Maybe around here somewhere. I think it looks it's just a little too wet yet, and maybe not all of it, but there's pockets that are still wet on top. And if we were really pressed and it had to get done right now, I would probably go out and do it. But I think, based on what I'm seeing, we're not there yet. Especially like that spot. It's just too wet. Came up to the irrigated field here because I wanted to look at this corn. Actually, we need to walk out here. And the well guys are here. They're testing. It's not really developing or testing the well with the drilling rig, but they've got an actual pump down there. They're pumping 350 gallons a minute, and they're monitoring the water level to see where it's going to level off and how much of a cone of depression it's going to make there. Essentially, they're figuring out how deep the water is going to be when we're pumping, so we know how deep the pump needs to be set at and how much horsepower we need for a pump. So they'll figure that out today and then run the numbers, and hopefully, I'm really hoping by the end of the week we've got a pump in there and we can start laying pipe. It'd be a lot easier to have that set before we start laying the pipe in the ground. But it's getting to be time. I would like to be running this thing. We've been watering it this time before. Well, it's a little early, but the idea was to turn it on when we can, not when we have to, and we could right now. Probably wouldn't because it's gonna rain tomorrow, but by the weekend I would be running it if I could be. Look at this corn though. Look at this. Just gorgeous. Beautiful looking corn. Nice color to it. It's getting into that nitrogen and it is taking off. So let's see. Here's our bottom leaf. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This has definitely got a 5th leaf color. That means it is V5 corn. V5 is a critical growth stage in corn, and here is why. Several things are happening at this point. Number one, the corn plant is no longer getting any nutrients or living off of the seed at all. Now that may seem obvious because we've been developing roots and sucking nutrients up for quite a while, but up until the V5 growth stage, it actually is still getting some of its nutrition, some of its energy out of the kernel, the actual seed that we planted. No longer the case here. Now we're living off of primarily those nodal roots that we find when we dig up a corn plant. Okay, so that's important. Number two, the growing point on this corn is above the soil surface. So anything smaller than this, the growing point is actually still below ground here, meaning I could come out here and theoretically mow the plants off and they would live and recover from it. Might not do well, it might hurt them. You're obviously losing a bunch of photosynthesis ability at that point, but the corn would survive. Now, we break this corn plant off at ground level, it's dead. It's a solid stalk there that's going to basically die off and it won't grow back from it. Now I could probably cut it off here and it would grow back, but we're not going to do that. Okay. And then number three, and most importantly, this is the growth stage where this corn is determining how many rows around each ear is going to have on it, how many kernel rows around. So whether we're going to have 14, 16, 18, 20, even 22, that's determined right now. And so we want these corn plants to be as healthy and happy as possible. We want them to have as much nutrients as possible. We want them to say, hey, I got everything I need. Let's throw a monster ear off here. Let's make lots of little baby corn plants, kernels, seeds, so that we can reproduce as much as possible. That's a corn plant's only goal in life, is to reproduce as much as possible. and that's exactly what we want. So that is why the V5 growth stage is one where we target for our foliars and for fungicides and stuff like that, trying to reduce any possible stress that we have out here. So we're going to, I think we could spray this. It's maybe a touch wet, but I think we could do it. We're going to look at a couple of other fields that are planted this same time frame, with I'm sure are ready, but we're probably going to mix up a couple batches of our V5 fungicide. We're going to throw a little bit of glyphosate in the tank because we got some weed patches in a few fields that we can clean up with it. We didn't do that last year, and it cost us big time in a couple fields where we had grass come in and stuff. So we decided we're just going to make that standard practice this year. And yeah, should be in really good shape here. Everything looks fantastic. So we are getting ready to do some spraying. We are putting in glyphosate, fungicide, which we're using a generic fungicide with a strobilurin and a triazole in it. We'll talk about more of that later. And I added some source to this and the additives for the glyphosate, and something made our tank foam. Now, I'm not sure which one of those components did it. It almost had to be the fungicide. But we gotta wait for the foam to dissipate because I need another 150 gallons of water on here. Finally, we are getting started spraying here. I'm doing a couple of fields closer to home before we get up to that irrigated field. Yeah, it's going all right here. This is my high management plot, standard practice. And so we're actually spraying the perimeter of that plot, not doing anything in it. The one half we won't do anything to, the standard practice side of it. The other half we are going to spray with all of this stuff, but we're also going to put in some more foliar feed stuff. So that's why we're not going to do it on this load. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good job filming here. I was on the phone for the rest of that load, but we got it sprayed out. We're loading up again. We're loading up enough for just 20 acres, 300 gallons, because we got to do that high management side of that plot. And so we got to load a bunch of other stuff in here. Off of this pallet, right here. All right, we're going to get our sprayer loaded up again here in a minute, but Brock's done power washing for today. So we're going to get the planter folded back up and put away here for the night. We're about done. I'll probably spend an hour or so on it and go through some things when I get a chance, but yeah, she's looking pretty good. We got the fertilizer systems winterized. We shouldn't have to do too much more to it until we get it out for the winter. Clean, or going through the meters and checking stuff out next winter. So yeah, this will be good to get put away. Hey Brock, you missed a spot. I know, being too mean to Brock. Bolt's loose. What bolt's loose? Well, that's because we lost the pin, so we had to stick a bolt in there. Happens. All right. It's better. It's not so bad. Kind of been waiting on some water, although I think we probably got about enough now that we can start loading stuff up. We have quite the chemistry experiment and concoction going on here. And we talked about this a few days ago if you missed the trust me, I'm a farmer speech. We talked about all the different stuff we're putting in, the foliar feeds and the Y and all of that stuff. But we actually have 8 different products going in the mix tank here for this load in the last little bit. This is the 100 acres that we're doing our foliar feed push it stuff, where we're trying to see what we can do with using some foliars and stuff. So we're mixing up an 80-acre tank right now, full load, to go up to our irrigated field. And like I said, we have 8 different things going in. So we have our 3 different foliar feed products. We've got this Phosfix, the Micro Blitz, and then our Sweet and Easy sugar-based stuff. So that's the nutritional side of it. And then I'm using some of this Source DC. This is a what is the word I'm looking for? It's a signaling molecule for the plant, multilactone. Essentially, it's just to help stimulate the microbes in the soil. It is a chemistry. It's not a biological, but it helps to stimulate the biology in the soil, make our soil healthier. So we're using that one. This is our fungicide, our Propaz that we are putting in. And then these two are additives to make everything work better. Water conditioning agent, lowers the pH, keeps the minerals in the water from tying up some of the other products and making them ineffective. Fuse is a adjuvant to help everything spread, kind of breaks the surface tension of the water so it sticks to the leaves and gets absorbed a little bit better. And then our glyphosate in that shuttle. So that's all the stuff going in. It's a lot. But the first tank load of it mixed up just fine. We didn't have any issues, so I think we're okay. Alright, we got everything in there. It took a little while. It takes longer to put the products in the tank than it does the water, so it's a bit of a challenge sometime. But we are up here on our irrigated field. This corn is just gorgeous. It looks fantastic. And we are going to spray. We're going to do the whole field. I don't know if we're going to get there tonight, but we're going to at least do this load here tonight. And this is the stuff with all the foliars. So I've got some flags out here, the strips that we made last week when we were spraying foliars. And we are going to spray that same area again with this. And then we'll load up without the foliars, but with the fungicide, and spray the rest of the field. Most of this corn up here looks phenomenal. It's really good. This over here is the best part of that field. It looks awesome. There is a low spot up there where you can tell we've had a little bit too much water and a little waterlogged, and it's a little yellow, but it'll grow out of that. It's hurt, but it's not dead. Well, I'm about 200 gallons of water short. We have plenty of water storage capacity. We just don't plan very well, apparently. That's my fault. I should have had the water tanks full before we started the day. And then we did have one full. I had 2,500 gallons when I started spraying, but then Brock was power washing. We can't fill the tanks and power wash at the same time, so I got it sort of sucked down. And Dad was spraying with the ATV sprayer today, so he took 1,000 gallons out, and well, we ran out of water. If I would have had the other tank full, we wouldn't have had this problem. So no big deal. I'm thinking about going and putting anhydrous on, maybe doing my plot here while I wait for a couple hundred gallons of water. Because we got to get this sprayed out tonight, so we're going to wait around for it one way or the other. I could go do that 15 acres around my house and have it done and out of the way before the rain comes. That would be a good thing. Well, we started putting some anhydrous on. We did a little bit. And you remember how I said row 4 was leaking a little bit more? And we were looking at that, and we did that this morning. Brock looked at it, and the hoses were frayed a little bit, so we cut them off and put them back on. I thought that would fix it. Didn't fix it. Made it worse. Made it a lot worse. And so I got out and I was looking at it a little more. Turns out the tube is cracked. Feels like something we gotta fix. There's a little stainless steel tube, basically, that the anhydrous, the plastic tube attaches, and then it's what injects it into the ground. And there's a crack right by the little weld on it that's got a little bracket. So we're not going to put anhydrous on tonight, or we're going to do, what do we do? 2.4 acres. Now we're going to go park it and try and fix this tomorrow. Might have enough water though. It's kind of like the corn's growing just from one load to the next up here. Looks really good. I mean, I had to. We had to get out. My deer logo fell off the front of the sprayer there, so I'm gonna have to get that put back on. Nah, no good. Oh, our tank is empty. We ran out, so we're gonna head back to the farm. We basically covered this whole field, and we're probably not gonna do the little bit that's left. It's just some of the point down there in this triangle. See the map of the field there, and just that little bit that we didn't do. It's no big deal. We do have a lot more that needs to be done and will be done. We'll see what the rain does tomorrow though. So if it's not raining when we wake up in the morning, we're probably gonna put anhydrous on. We should spray, but we're probably gonna put anhydrous on. We got to get through this next rain system, and then it clears off for a while, a few days. Hopefully
we'll be able to wrap up the anhydrous before the next storm comes through, but we'll see how it goes. We should at least get a big chunk of it done here between, it depends on how much rain we get tomorrow, right? We get an inch of rain tomorrow, that's going to slow us down. If we get through tomorrow with a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch, and by Friday we're back in the fields and work hard all weekend, we'll get a lot done, but it just remains to be seen. I need a haircut. See, when you can start seeing this stuff flying away on the side here, it's time for a haircut. Anyway, thanks for watching today. Have a great night. If you have any questions or comments, feel free, leave them down below. And make sure you like the video, subscribe, all the good things. Go over and check out Farm Focused and grab yourself one of those Best RX shirts. I think they're pretty sweet. We'll see what the rain does tonight. I'm gonna open or let the water tanks fill up overnight here, so, or if it's not raining tomorrow, we're gonna side dress corn or spray corn, and maybe both. So if it is raining tomorrow, we'll catch up, figure out what we gotta do. I got a box of beans I gotta treat at some point, so we can get that done. But have a great night. See you in the morning.